welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana and we are here today to test out the new Supergoop Mineral Glow Screen. I don't know why that was hard to say. These are pretty new in my time. I think they've been out maybe a week. I originally picked up one shade. I liked it. I wanted to try the other shade. I don't always do that, but I did. So that's what we have today. I think there's so much to talk about that I'm just gonna get into it right now. But if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do so below. It does help. I've been doing a few more of the like kind of standalone sunscreen reviews lately, just because this time of year, it's like getting to be spring, almost summer. I mean, it's not really almost summer, but hopefully soon. And I think brands are just coming out with their sunscreens. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like skincare, if you like brand reviews, I do a lot of things. And I am back after a little bit of a break. So let's get into it and we'll get going now. Okay, I'm gonna put my hair up with a headband and in a claw clip because I am special and I cannot do things with my hair down. Anyway, this is a new sunscreen from Supergoop. I guess their last sunscreen that they came out with was, I think, a joke in my opinion. It was the new Unseen sunscreen, and basically they took it from an SPF 40 to an SPF 50. I mean, great, love that. I love SPF 50, but also they made it a bigger deal than I think it needed to be. But you know, brands are gonna brand, and that's what it was. So anyway, we have two different shades right now. This is the, I mean, they look exactly the same, but the one right here is Sunrise, and then this one is Golden Hour. I will insert swatches of both of them and I will be applying them both to my face, so just stay tuned for that. All right, we're just gonna get in, and what I'm gonna do first off the bat is I'm gonna apply one shade to one half of my face, the other to the other half of my face. They do have the same ingredients. There may be slight differences, but overall they are the same formulation, so I'm not super worried if they mix because I am gonna be wearing them out for the day. And then the last thing I wanted to mention before I actually get going is I have normal balanced skin. It is a little colder today here. It's still toward the end of winter. And so I don't have anything on my face right now, which is not typical, but for sunscreen reviews, I do like to do it on a bare face because otherwise there are just too many factors that kind of can influence a sunscreen. But typically I would go in with some serums and maybe a moisturizer depending on how dry my skin is. But since I have normal balanced skin, it's usually not too bad. So all that said, we're gonna get into it right now. I'm gonna be doing finger length method. You typically need 3. I have tested this out and put it to the test with my 1/4 teaspoon. You can just scoop it in. But because I'm just applying it to half of my face, I'm gonna do one like pretty chunky, one finger length for half of my face. So this is the Glowscreen Soft-Radiance Drops Mineral SPF 40 from Supergoop. It retails for $40, and as I think I've said before, it comes in 1.7 fluid ounces. It is 15.11% zinc oxide, and I'm so happy to report that there's no butylactyl salicylate. If you followed my channel before, you know that butylactyl salicylate is a sunscreen filter, but it is not considered an active ingredient. So sunscreen companies or any company, skincare companies, can put it in their sunscreens and they don't have to list it as an active ingredient, but it actually is, and it's a chemical filter. So a lot of mineral sunscreens will have it included. They don't have to list it, but it basically allows for the formulation to be a little bit more elegant and less of a white cast. For a lot of people, that doesn't matter, but if you do have some kind of an aversion, if your skin is more sensitive and you really can't do chemical filters, it's nice to know if the sunscreen has butylactyl salicylate, and this one does not. This one is supposed to be a diffused soft glow. So that is something I will talk about later and you'll see as I go on in the demonstration. And I honestly would 100% agree with that, which is rare. I don't always agree with their description. So that's pretty cool. And then it is SPF 40 and 3 PA pluses. PA is for UVA protection, which is amazing, especially for a mineral sunscreen. That is sometimes where it is lacking in the protection. And Supergoop has done a great job of addressing that. And then we have the 2 shades. We have the lighter shade, which is Sunrise, and then the deeper shade, which is Golden Hour. All right, so this is what it looks like. I just am doing this obviously for science so you guys can see what kind of the shades look like. I'm gonna wash this off in a second and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you what I actually would probably do because obviously this is not gonna work for me. And you know what? That's fine. The golden hour is not necessarily intended for me. It is intended for medium to darker skin tones, whereas sunrise, which is the lighter shade, is more intended for me. So I'm okay that they don't work for, you know, all skin tones. I just like that they do have different shades, and that is an option for everybody. Okay, I'll pause here. I'll be back in a second and we'll come and do what I'm actually gonna wear for the day. Okay, we're back, clean face, and now I'm gonna show you what I typically do. So with this one, I like to use my fingers. You can, of course, use your 1/4 teaspoon. I measured it out in that as well. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 to 3 finger lengths of Sunrise, which is the lighter shade. And I do pretty thick finger lengths. So obviously you can do finger lengths where you're not getting as much product. It is a little bit less scientific, but I always err on the side of putting too much on and looking like this versus not enough, because honestly, sunscreen is meant to protect you from UVA and UVB rays, and if you're not putting on the full amount, you're not getting the advertised SPF protection. So this is SPF 40, and if you put on less, you're getting SPF 30, SPF 20, you don't really know. I always get a few comments, especially when, you know, it tends to be like a popular brand that people are like stans of. They will tell me that I'm putting too much on and I don't need to do that much. And you know what? Most people in the world are not putting the recommended amount on, and that's still fine. You're still getting some protection, but I'm doing sunscreen, and I'm using sunscreen because I do not want skin cancer. It runs in my family. I do not want more discoloration. I do not want skin damage. So it's kind of up to you. If you want to do less and that's fine with you and you're not going outside, by all means, this is my 3rd finger length, by the way. By all means do that. Just know that since this is a channel where I feel like I'm educating people and people are coming here to see, I always like to do the correct amount, and I use air quotes, but I always like to do the correct amount just for that reason. All right, I'm gonna stop talking and we'll just finish this. Okay, so that is a full face of protection, 3 full, fat, chunky finger lengths, and I have a glow for sure. Now, what I'm gonna show you next is so this is the way that I have been wearing it. I've been using just Sunrise. I picked up Golden Hour just the other day, and I think, as you could see from the first half and half, it's too deep on me. If I use this alone, I would just use like a tiny, tiny bit, and I can do that. I could probably do that over another sunscreen, but if I use it, it would not be my primary sunscreen. So what I'm gonna do if I want a little bit more glow is I'm just gonna take a little bit, like a little dot, and I'm gonna use it almost like a bronzer. And because these two formulas are pretty much the same, I'm not going to say they're identical because you just don't know the percentages of things, and they do have a few kind of differences, but I'm just going to use it kind of to layer over top. You could probably blend it in, like actually mix it with the other shade, but I just find that this is a little bit of a safer kind of way. Also, I'm filming in natural light, so if you see it coming in and out, that's because, you know, the clouds are moving, but I feel like it gives you a really realistic look at what the sunscreen is like. So that was just 2 little dots, and I really got quite a bit of a nice kind of bronzed look to my face already. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will be back because I wanna show you what it looks like when it kind of sets down. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I wanted to show you an up close video of what it looks like. Obviously it's glowy, but it is setting down, and as the day goes on, it's gonna set down even more. Under makeup, it works really, really well. I am going to put on a little bit of concealer later, and just like, you know, I'm not doing anything crazy today, but I just wanna like finish the look. But I will say that as you go on, it definitely sets down. Now, it depends on your skin type and of course like the weather. if you're in a super humid climate, it may be a little bit harder to set down or with oily skin. But overall, I have found that this is one of those ones where I could walk out of the house right now and I don't mind how glowy it is because it is like a more natural type of glow. So let's go through my final thoughts though. I've gone over all of the details and I wanted to just let you know my thoughts on it. I don't know if you could tell, but this is my favorite Supergoop sunscreen. I was not expecting it. And it's always just such a pleasure when you find something that you weren't expecting, especially from a brand like Supergoop is for me, where it's very, very hit or miss. And I find that Supergoop is not a brand that's made for me. Supergoop is a very necessary brand. It's for people that don't want to necessarily wear sunscreen. They're just getting into it maybe. It's a very catchy, marketing heavy brand. But for people who are sunscreen connoisseurs, it's not always the best because a lot of their sunscreens are hard to use. They're not hard to use, but the way that you are intended to use it and the amount, it just doesn't work. So some of the others that I've reviewed, they either have too much tint, they are too glowy, or they're just kind of like not gonna work for the way that I like to use them. With the exception of Unseen. I feel like Unseen is probably their best sunscreen other than this one. But when I saw this, I was just like, whew, like I have normal balanced skin. I don't need that much glow, but it really, really does have what they called a diffused soft glow. And I have been thrilled with it, like just reaching for it nonstop. Now, as the months get warmer and the weather just changes into a little bit more humidity, I'm probably not gonna be reaching for it as much. But since we're still at the end of, maybe in some parts of the country, still in the like thick of winter, I think it's a really lovely one that I can use for a very natural or no makeup look, or I can use it as a primer underneath makeup and makeup just sits beautifully on it. The other thing I wanted to say is I really like the packaging. This is 1.7 fluid ounces, but it literally fits in the palm of my hand. I could put it in my jean pocket, not that I would, but like this could be a very good travel friendly sunscreen. It's plastic packaging, which you know is fine. I actually prefer it over glass, not for sustainability, but for travel. And I just think that this method, you get the sunscreen really easily and it doesn't overflow or just kind of like leak out of the packaging. The other thing I do like is that it is higher protection than, I think most Supergoop sunscreens these days are 40, but it is higher protection than some other US mineral sunscreens. So it's SPF 40, but it has 3 PA pluses, which is for the UVA rating. So a lot of mineral sunscreens, because they are using just zinc oxide, they don't have anything that really addresses the UVA rays. So this is a very good option for that. Still not the highest. We're not at SPF 50 with 4 PA pluses, but I'm very happy with this protection. The other thing that I like about it is, while I wouldn't say that you go to this for like moisture or hydration, and it is definitely glowy, it's not too glowy. So for me, I don't need the hydration and moisture from my sunscreen. I get that from my skincare. That's that part of the routine. But for me, the sunscreen aspect of it, I do want this nice glow. Like if you saw me out on the street, you would be like, ooh, what is her skincare routine? She looks so glowy. It's like that glass skin look. So I like that, and it doesn't have any visible particles or glitter in it. It doesn't feel too over the top like their Glowscreen, their original, like the chemical one. I just found that one to be artificial looking and just too glowy on my skin. So it's that kind of perfect level. But I will say that because it is not maybe the most hydrating throughout the day, if that is something that's important to you, consider a different sunscreen. And then the other thing is that Supergoop is a huge brand. They are more than capable of coming out with multiple shades. The fact that they came out with 2 in the beginning is great. I honestly think they probably could have come out with 3, but I think these 2 do really reach different ends on the spectrum in terms of tone. As you saw in the split face comparison, Sunrise shade, which I had on this side of my face, it has more of that white pigment base, which is fine on lighter skin tones. But if they had just come out with that, it obviously would not have worked on medium and deep shades. So the fact that they came out with Golden Hour at the same time, that really addresses those other medium and deeper skin tones, is great. And it doesn't necessarily work for me 100%, but as you saw, I can layer it on top of Sunrise and it works really well. And then the other thing I was gonna say is, as far as skin types, it actually does work for multiple skin types. I have normal balanced skin. It does kind of veer toward oily in my T-zone in the summertime. I probably just wouldn't reach for this in the summertime anyway because I don't need this level of glow, but for 9 months out of the year, maybe not 9 months in North Carolina, but maybe like 7 months out of the year, it is a lovely sunscreen that I can reach for and really does work for my balanced normal skin type. If you have very oily skin, you're gonna want to use a primer kind of maybe on your T-zone to address the oiliness that comes through, and you're definitely gonna want a powder. Now for my drier skin friends, it's gonna give you this glow, but you may notice, especially because it is a mineral sunscreen, they tend to dry out your skin because that's just the fact of zinc oxide. So you're gonna wanna layer your skincare and make sure you're loading up on the moisturizers and moisturization beforehand, but don't necessarily look to this for moisture. It's not gonna give you that other than kind of the glow from the iron oxides and the zinc. All right, guys, so that is it. I mean, like, this has been on my face now for 15-20 minutes. I definitely have a nice little glow. Like I said, I'm gonna go in just with a little concealer around my eyes, but I'm not gonna do it on this video. That's not part of this routine. I just wanted to show you what it really looks like, and I would be happy to walk out of the house like this. So I hope you enjoyed it. I often don't love Supergoop, and so it really is exciting when something like this comes out, and I'm on board. Like, this is their best, other than the Unseen sunscreen. I think this is their best sunscreen that they've come out with. So big props for Supergoop for coming out with something that really works no matter how much you use and is appropriate for different skin tones and types. Very well done. Very well done. All right, guys. I feel like that's a lot of talking. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.